Hello, Cancer. Welcome back to MonAndU. How are you guys doing? I hope you guys are doing well. Holy crap. I really didn't expect to just start right out the gate, but I just saw 1144. I saw the number 33. I've got a lot of repeating numbers, which actually ties in, especially with the 1144, with the numbers that I was getting for your reading. Cancer, I have been sitting in this energy with waiting until it felt like the right time. Yesterday, I thought it would be, and it was partly that my schedule didn't quite align to this, but also partly that I just didn't feel that readiness with your energy and with this message. And then some strange things started happening, and I'm going to kind of minimize what has been happening just for the fact that I don't want to trigger anybody in the sense of if this is something that you have gone through, the universe will bring it to you when it's time. But I was on TikTok yesterday, and all of a sudden my For You page, just the algorithm changed all of a sudden. And I had a series of videos from a multitude of different creators about an experience that a shared experience that a lot of people have been remembering from their childhood. And about 2 weeks ago, I was thinking about certain things that had happened when I was in elementary school and not really grasping, why was that? What was that? Because I couldn't fully remember until these came in. And the reason why I'm mentioning this to you guys without giving any more specific than that is because Cancerian energy and the nature of Cancer tends to be very memory oriented. It's very family oriented, but it's also very memory oriented. One of the most illuminating things for me in studying astrology, and especially applied astrology, is understanding the nature of my own personal Cancerian energy and how it really manifests in my life, but the different patterns and themes that I have seen that I didn't realize were linked to this energy. And that would be this call to my origin story, my family of origin, outside of my parents' generation and my grandparents' generation, and even my great-grandparents' generation that I have grown up hearing stories about and interacting with and knowing and seeing and kind of experiencing as that younger generation. A lot of what I'm pulled to is ancestry and kind of the different ancient civilizations or ancient peoples that they have carbon dating DNA sequences of, that they can do a compare and contrast of the DNA sequences that we carry within, and just seeing how some of the different themes of places and ages and belief systems really have played out in my current life. It's this kind of historian energy, but it's historian in a completely different way. Now, I want to do this before I even get into your written channeled messages. I want to talk about this card here. So the overall energy for Cancer right now is the Five of Pentacles. And this particular Five of Pentacles, I'm working with the Lumina Tarot, has an apple that has been cut in half, and it's been left long enough so that the apple is starting to go into a decay process. And I can't even tell you why I know this, because I haven't read the excerpt of the book. It's just looking at the apple itself, that's how it feels. And so there can be little parts of us that if we don't fully remember, if we can't, especially in Cancerian energy, that blockage or wall or barrier to accessing certain memories that we know exist within us. It's like you can feel it. It's like this tiny little niggling inside of your brain, inside of your body, inside of your energy that's saying there's something here for you to figure out. There's something here that you need to remember. But sometimes the usual methods of memory recall don't necessarily work. Some of us can't just pick up the phone and call our parents and be like, hey, this and this and this is what I am trying to remember. Can you help me out? Whether you can't call your parents because they aren't here, you didn't grow up with them, there's any kind of conflict, or you just simply can't trust that they're going to tell you the honest answer on that. The result of that is we can feel the sense of internal lack, and we can see it continually present itself in patterns throughout our lives, and we don't understand, how do I break myself out of this? Even in the best of times, there's still that sense that there's some sort of missing element or missing piece. There's something that should be there that isn't there, and you can't quite figure out what it is. And the thing with that I'm getting from this energy is that thing doesn't exist outside of yourself. It exists within yourself. And if you relax into knowing that there is something that you need to see within yourself, and now my ears are ringing super high pitched, and in particular in the left side. If you can relax into that energy and allow your guides to give you the steps, go here, look at this, let it tell you something about yourself that may or may not be existent on the surface of what you're interacting with. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. For me, I re-downloaded TikTok for the first time in years, just a couple months ago, maybe not even that, maybe maybe a month at most ago. And I couldn't figure out, like, why am I doing this? Like, I spend some time on YouTube shorts and whatever, but I always kind of get in my head about the amount of time that I'll sit and scroll on YouTube shorts and be like, okay, I'm dissociating, or okay, I'm just, procrastinating the things that I am wanting to do, but in that like neurodivergent ADD, ADHD, like can't do anything state, for whatever reason. But when I downloaded it, I had the same feeling that I would get with YouTube, where I'd open my YouTube randomly and the algorithm would change, and all of a sudden it's flooded with certain things. So the last time this really happened to me on YouTube, it flooded me with a bunch of information, or not necessarily information, but a bunch of podcasts that Deborah Silverman, who is the founder of Applied Astrology, that she had done on literally a variety of different podcasts where she was the guest speaker. And I had never heard of probably about 90% of the podcast. I think I had heard about one, maybe two. And all of them covered different things, different parts of her astrology. But I was watching one and listening to her, and I was like, my gosh, a lot of the things that she's saying, I've been saying over the years, and I haven't really interacted with anybody else in a kind of spiritual leadership or, astrological leadership position that can resonate with me to that degree. And so I ended up intuitively going to her website and accidentally signed up for one of her live free courses. And I ended up just kind of diving into it, and everything aligned in the universe for me to get into these classes, to be able to afford the classes, all of it. It was beautifully synchronistic, absolutely divinely guided. And it was almost irrefutable to that point. So I was used to having these really weird intuitions, like, oh, I need to download this app, when I don't like interacting a whole lot with social media or, outside, unless there's absolutely a reason for it. Just for the sake that, guys, the world as a whole right now is pretty heavy. So when I downloaded TikTok, I was not expecting that it was going to take time for the universe to kind of rearrange energies and to kind of get things flowing. I had actually expected that I was going to download it, and there it was. It was just going to be there. And it just wasn't at that time. And now it is. And I understand why it needed more time, because I needed to give myself more time to kind of get my energy clear and for these memories to start appearing within my psyche that I couldn't put a finger to and I couldn't get an explanation on. And I do not have in my physical life the ability to just pick up the phone and make a phone call and ask about it. The universe needed me to get on the same page for them to get onto my For You page, so to speak. That was very clever, Spirit. So, essentially what the big first message is if this is resonating, if you have that feeling like, I just know there's something missing, and it doesn't mean that I'm broken, and it doesn't mean that there's something lacking in my life or anything is just negative or wrong or bad or anything like that. I just feel like if I want to keep moving forward in my life, I need to figure out this piece that just keeps bugging at me, but I just can't access it. And if you're like me, or, even in your own way, resonant with the fact that when you feel that, you just go at it. You go at it and you go at it and you go at it and you go at it at every angle you possibly can, because the alleviation of that feeling is like freedom. It's like breathing again. And so that's where I'm at. And now I'm seeing 1144 again and 1155. So this is about progress. We're going to be moving forward here. We're making progress, small steps. So, Cancer, please trust your intuition. If your intuition is guiding you somewhere and you're like, why? If you're waking up and there's a song in your head, listen to the song if you feel so called. Look at the lyrics. Ask yourself, what's the deeper meaning? What's this saying to a different part of me? How can I respond differently to the energy and the messages that are being presented to me? Another way, and it's being shown to me, is I do a drive every weekend, almost every weekend, and it's about an hour distance one way. And on that, you go through a lot of, farmland, because I live in North Dakota, and there's not a lot going on. There's people traveling and whatever, and you always have to watch for deer because that's just what we have up here. But over the past, I'd say, year or so, I've seen this influx and increase in specific animals. Pheasants, very specifically. There is a bald eagle that I see almost every drive now on that just tiny little stretch. But this past weekend, I saw hawks. I had 4 hawk sightings there and back. And 2 of those 4 were very unusual because hawks don't normally perch so close to a highway. There's so much noise and it's so chaotic, and it's just not part of, their natural world on a regular basis. So they don't normally perch there, but there was one that was perched on a road sign right next to the road. And I swear to high heaven, this bird looked at me as I was driving towards it, and then it turned its head and watched as I drove past it. And I literally turned around in the driver's seat for a second to look because I was so caught off guard. I've never had that happen before. And I was noticing more specificities to the bird itself. And then a little while after that, as I was starting to get back into town, there was another one that was on a fallen pole that had fallen over, I think, right next to the ditch of the road. And it was, again, sitting right there, but it wasn't looking at me. It was looking to the northern horizon. And so these things really struck me, but the color pattern of the tail really caught my eye because I'm used to seeing red-tailed hawks or Cooper hawks. This wasn't either one of them. It had this very unusual white band, but it was a beautiful brown colored hawk, but smaller than what I had expected. So I did some digging and I looked at, hawks native to North Dakota and found out that it was called a Northern Harrier. And I just kind of dove into that to learn about it and learn that it's a really unique form of a hawk. And so I understood that, okay, this might seem like a regular sighting or a usual thing, but noticing it on a regular basis allowed me to be able to see the irregularities of this particular time. When we notice these things, we are able to get in deeper. And that actually brings me to the other overall energy that you guys have, that it says ancient muse, soul truths, higher self, and deep inspiration. So this is about learning to hear the kind of the music and the rhythm of the messages coming for you in a different way, because there's this unlocking that is trying to happen because it's time for you to have some new growth. And when we're sitting in this energy of feeling as though there's something missing, and this is the seed moon, feeling as though there's something missing, and it kind of fosters an incompleteness within ourselves. We can actually keep ourselves held back completely from at any kind of new phase or new growth. And another thing that I picked up that I forgot to mention is this may have started after the lunar eclipse in your life, where this has become more prominent, and it doesn't feel like it's like really nagging, but it feels like it's just a constant now. This okay, there's something there that I need to grasp. So I have these channeled messages, and I want to, wow. Okay. I'm going to give a little bit of a trigger warning, because some of this, when it came through, felt very connected to like funerals and death and loss. And so if you're going through a grieving process and a mourning process with any of those things and it's still too fresh, I would advise you that maybe this isn't the right time for you. Please feel it out for yourself. But there is some of that energy that I'm going to be tapping into and reading for you, so that if you feel that resonance, then you know this is a confirmation of this message for you. So the very first thing that I got was this very heavy energy. And I heard it is with a heavy heart, but I didn't hear anything beyond that. I just heard it is with a heavy heart. And then I heard heart and hearth and our home in the center. So the hearth, Hearth. So that's like the fireplace in the home. So in older time frames, the hearth of the home was found in the kitchen, and it was a gathering place, but also a place to cook and to heat the house, and it was seen and considered to be the heart of the home. So I got heart and hearth. It's home in the center. And then I got Hestia, Hecate, Hermes, and then Herodotus, who is the father of history, which makes more sense with the message that I got as soon as I tapped into your energy today with history and memory. And then I got healing. And I just kept getting the letter H with alliteration. Like there's all these H words that want to come through, whether it's gods or goddesses or just regular everyday things. Like if you're seeing an abundance of the letter H randomly, that could be a sign for you as well. So I was getting this heavy energy, but I also was feeling incredibly ungrounded, and my third eye got hyper pressurized. But I didn't have like a headache. It just felt like there was a lot of pressure in the middle of my forehead. And then I was having these in and out waves of like this knotted queasiness in my solar plexus area and stomach area. And I got hit with this like overwhelming energy of dread. And I couldn't put a place on that or like find a source of that. And this was after I had kind of cleared the energy from the last collective energy, and I sat down and gotten your energy out. And this energy hit me like a freight train, so much so that I couldn't write it down for hours afterwards. Like I needed a breather. I needed to check in with my husband because he helps ground me. I needed to really get myself clear, drink some water. And then when I felt like the energy was a little less dense, I was able to sit down and channel. So I don't know if any of you are experiencing this energy, but I want you to know that if you are, you're not alone, and that energy isn't going unseen, and it isn't there for no reason. I can't tell you the definitive reason in your own individual lives because it is going to be different for all of us, but it is a collective energy within Cancerian energy. Then I heard multiple calls, like I heard spiritual call, then a mental call, and a physical call. So with the mental call, I heard expectations and your inner critic. And then I heard with the physical call, I heard phone calls, text messages, you know, the calling, the different ways that we call in the physical world. Then I saw I believe it's called a scatter plot. So it's like a graph and it has just a bunch of little dots as a scattering of the energies throughout to represent different forms. So I saw this scatter plot and then I got it that like this direct connection with Cancerian energy. So what that means to me in this moment, like I just was channeling this in this moment after all the messages and with what I'm being shown now is this is helping you understand bits and pieces. Those little niggles are on that scattered graph in your energy so that you can understand this is the location of it. Now, these are the coordinates that are telling you what this means. And it can come from, one point and another point, and those 2 points coming together are going to make this dot here, but the overall energy is about remembering. After that, I heard distractions, disruptions, interruptions, interferences. So this was another thing that was a theme when I was trying to sit down originally to film and to write this, is that my phone kept ringing. And I kept having things pull me away. My dog, my cats, my husband, my kids, like there were just a multitude of things that were pulling at my energy and at my attention that were getting me kind of distracted from this thing that I was trying to do. And then I got it. It felt like there was static on the line. Like, I don't know if you guys remember corded phones, but if you remember a corded phone or actually let's go with a cordless, that's a better association. So say you have a cordless phone, like a landline phone, and you walk too far away from the base of that cordless phone, you start getting static on the line. You can still hear bits and pieces of the conversation that is being had, like that the other person is saying, and they may hear bits and pieces from you, but the actual full scope of the conversation can't be heard because you're too far away from the base. So part of the memory thing is that you've moved so far away from the base of the memory that you're not able to discern how to get back to it. I really hope this makes sense. And then directly after the static on the line, I got the numbers 444 and 1111. And again, we've had that 1144 repeating twice now in this reading. Then I heard changes, small, subtle changes in your home, in your sacred space, in your workspace, or your altar space. Any or all of those that may apply to you, making small changes, just very subtle ones that you would notice, but nobody else would notice, by moving things around. That is important. I don't know what the magnitude of importance is, but I just got that chunk is moving things around where no one else notices, but you notice. And then with the you noticing, it was heart, loyalty, love, sacrifice, and no longer standing in front of the doorway of those you love. And I got this kind of sense of like, you want to stand and protect all of the people that you love. But if you continue to do that, are you being loyal to your own heart? Because you're allowing the sacrifice of yourself for the sake of others. And in that, you're also withholding them from being able to live their full lesson scope. And that's a really hard thing to accept. I know this personally. It's a really hard thing to accept because it comes from a place of love. But sometimes the way that we are meant to love a person is by letting them walk their path. And then I heard Setting them free to learn doesn't mean you love them less. Oh, of course. So those are the channeled messages that I got for you. And so that is, take whatever resonates. I don't want you guys to feel like too overwhelmed by this, because I can feel that this is just a little bit heavier than my other readings. But I am here. If you guys want to talk, pop it down in the comment section below. I am here to give you the the most support I possibly can. Now, I'm going to move on to these 3 piles. So how I have been doing the readings on this channel in particular is I'm doing an overall energy for this sign, so that if you're here and you have Cancer somewhere else in your chart, or you're here because you're cross-watching for somebody else's energy, or you're just trying to understand bits and pieces of these energies, or you just are simply called, the overall energy is there for the collective as a whole. Then I'm narrowing it down a little bit more for specific placements. It doesn't mean that you can't listen to those readings. It doesn't mean that there won't be something in there that resonates. That depends on your own intuition, your guides, and what you genuinely feel within you to be right and true for yourself. So what this is, we've got Cancer Sun, Cancer Moon, Cancer Rising. So if you have any one of those placements and you want to continue forward, the timestamps are in the description box. If you don't and you want to continue forward, the timestamps are in the description box. So we're going to dive into it. I get the feeling that these are going to be kind of quicker messages. So let's go. Cancer Sun, here we go. We have the waxing gibbous moon, and it says focus. And this is a fire energy with the number 13. That may be significant for some of you, or Scorpio, or Aries. And then we have the Hanged Man, but I have the Hanged Man upside down or reversed. And I don't normally read reversals, but I'm going to show you the image reversed. And then I'm going to go ahead and put it upright. Okay, that makes sense. And then I have, you are a gift, visionary, step into your light. I almost said the light or a light. So you may actually know a specific area in which you're meant to be stepping into. Now, the Hanged Man is Neptunian energy. When the Hanged Man is upside down, it's a call to kind of think about it in terms of, instead of Neptune, think of it in terms of the number 21. So we have that inversion of the number 12. So now we're looking at Saturn and the World card. The Hanged Man, to me, is and always will be a changing of perspective. It is wisdom gained through the pause, through the waiting, through the hanging oneself willingly upside down and allowing for wisdom to come through. Now, this is like the most daredevil Hanged Man card I've ever seen, because the Hanged Man is dangling over 2 cliffs, and it looks like being held up by a branch or a vine or some piece of Mother Nature that you wouldn't normally expect to be able to hold that weight without coming apart at either side. And that's the risk that you take in the Hanged Man. When we go through these times where we are shifting our perspective, it feels like the whole world is flipped upside down and we don't know which way is up. Nothing feels right. Nothing feels real. Nothing makes sense. And the reason for that is because we build our world. The world outside of us, we build based off of the perception that we have of that world. So what we see, hear, feel, taste, smell, all of that, the perception of the senses. And I'm going to include the 6th sense in this because it's really hard to exclude that in many energies these days, but especially in water energy, because your intuition is just always there. So you've always had that sense. So let's not limit it. Okay. I don't know who needed to hear that, but all of the senses are indicators. They're like divining rods of the physical body and of the spiritual body in combination with each other, in union with each other, that give you a vast array of information. And so that's our perception. It's information gathering from everything around us. So now that we have all of this information, what are we going to do with it? Well, that is where perspective comes in. Perception is the gathering of information through our senses. And then perspective is the ideation, the mentality, and the belief systems that we form about ourselves, about the world, and about ourselves in relation to the world, and then we move forward in life. And that is the energy from which our world manifests, our experiences manifest out of this perspective. So when we are in a specific perspective, that is what our world is shaped out of. It's how we understand and interact with our form of reality, our realm of reality. And it's different for all of us because we all project our own world out there through our perceptions and through our perspectives. And when you have to flip it upside down, the question is what the hell is going on? How do I even navigate? Because if I walk outside, the world that I'm looking at does not look like a world that I know. And it doesn't make rational sense to the brain, but the spirit and the energy and the heart are telling you there's something different. There's something different. What that phase is it's that phase that comes right before he realizes that he's not dangling anywhere. He is existing exactly as he's meant to. You are existing exactly as you're meant to in this infinite, abundant reality of life, of the force of life, of the giving of life, of the coming to life. You're in this energy. And when you're ready to flip it back on its head, you flip it back on its head. But the way that you were when you were flipped upside down has now become the way that you are when you are right side up, which means that you have now changed your inner world based off of all of those really uncomfortable senses when you were going out into the world that just didn't make sense. What that was a divine restructuring to help you return to a focal point. Oh my goodness. Every time I do one of these round cards, I struggle with which direction to turn it because it's opposite from what it would be on the screen. So it's asking you to focus on the gift that you have, the vision that you have, the light that you know that you're ready to step into, the light that you've been called to. The seed moon for that overall energy is feeding into this to help it grow. And there are a multitude of guides showing you different things like flowers and honeybees and hummingbirds and, trees and blue skies and puffy clouds and all of those like dream-like things that we struggle to feel like we're ever going to interact with the magic again when life gets really, really challenging. That's what your guides are showing you. So Cancer Sun, whatever phase that you're in right now, it is a perspective shifting phase, but the perspective has already shifted. And now it's you understanding that everything that you have become as your world got flipped upside down and flipped on its head and changed completely, the way that you responded to that, the way that you navigated through that, whether it was through your emotions, through talking, through therapy, through this or that, whatever, however it was that you did it, this has now become a core part of you and this part of your journey. And your guides are saying, and the cosmos are saying, and spirit is saying, you are a gift. And now you can see it. Now you can focus on the fact that because you are a gift and you see the gift that you are out in the world, it's time for you to bring that and to create the vision that you have for your life. This is a divinely orchestrated, divinely gifted vision that you and your soul had already said, I will reach this point in this lifetime, and this will become my moment of my moment of arising, my moment of shining, my moment of stepping fully into myself, to stepping into my light and to shining that forward, because I understand that life is infinite. I am infinite, and I can focus on the life that I want to experience with infinite abundance and joy and happiness and whatever else you want to list in that. That is why it feels so heavy and confusing, because the world isn't supposed to make sense when your perspective is changing. And it's not always intended to be a struggle. That's why the Hanged Man is also the card about surrender. Because in order to shift our perspective, we have to surrender to the absolute present moment and let the past fall to being in the past, so that we can go and say, okay, now I can look at the past as an observer. Now I can decide who I am, what my narrative is, and how I bring my light into the world. No one else decides that but me. I have that power, and I choose that power. This is what is opening for you. This is that new seed of growth. Letting yourself be inspired by yourself, by your journey, by your path, and letting yourself just be the new person that you are. And that can be hard when it feels like there's something missing. So this is your guide saying there's nothing missing. You are shifting into the absolute wholeness within yourself. All right, Cancer Suns, that is what I have for you. Let's move on. We are going to go to Cancer Moon. Hello, my loves. Cancer Moon. Let's take a look. And I said this to Cancer Suns. I'm hoping that these messages kind of go quickly, because I feel this kind of speed up energy. And even the more that I move into it, the more powerful it seems to be coming. When you have the moon in Cancer, your moon is dominant no matter what. It means that there is not another single planet in your natal chart that is going to outspeak, outfeel, or outguide you in this life outside of the moon. So you have the waxing crescent with refine, air energy, and the number 3. Refinement at its finest is what I just heard. And then we have the Knight of Swords. Do some of you have a double placement, a double moon, like a moon and sun in Cancer? I'm getting a similar energy, but it's almost like a progressive thing. And then I got Soothing Waters, intention, clearing blockages, and energetic hygiene. Yeah, there's definitely a continuum energy here. So with the Knight of Swords, and oh my gosh, you guys, check it out. Did you guys watch the overall energy reading? Because if I can get this to focus, that is definitely a hawk on that guy, on the Knight of Swords legs. Yes, there it is. Okay, I'll be. So this is about the focus that you put forward on the messages and the messengers out in the world. This is about you tapping into what the spirit realm is saying, refining that communicative nature between you and the universe, but also between you and your own intuition. Because as you refine this understanding of and this communication, you're going to end up finding that you have the capability of healing. Now, that healing word kept coming through as well. And this is a healing with intention. We can go into healing and have a kind of overall intention, like, I really want to be able to move beyond my anxiety, move beyond my fear, move beyond this wound and this trauma and this experience. I want to move beyond that. And that's a very generalized way of healing. But when you go in with a different kind of intention, say, I am going into my healing in order to be able to X, Y, Z. This. Now you're being very, very specific with your intentions, and you're saying, this is what I want to do. This is how the area that I know needs to be addressed. It doesn't actually limit the universe. Like, I know some people will be like, well, you got to leave it open-ended for the universe. And in some ways, in some days, apparently, you do. But in this case, with your energy, it's about being specific with the universe about the things that you are trying to navigate through, so that the universe, your guides, your angels, your ancestors, the cosmos can really help rearrange the energy so that your intentions clear any blockages, soothe those pieces that just feel very sharp, and they refine your energy. And that is energetic hygiene. So basically, this is a call. Again, that intro message, like the overall energy, this is much stronger with you guys. That call that is coming for your energy right now is to really refine the way that you communicate about the things that you want to resolve, the things that you want to move through and heal. Let yourself be very specific with the intentions of the things in your life that you know that you need to unlock, or you need to access, or you need to understand, and allow the universe to speak to you. Allow the universe to speak to you in ways that, again, maybe don't seem like the norm, but they're bringing it to you to help you understand that you have this unique way of interacting, this unique way of balancing that heart and the mind, and the ways in which all that energy outside of yourself can impact these things. You have a very unique way of doing that. You have a very perceptive and keen sight and insight. And so if you work to choose to refine this kind of keenness of wisdom and insight and sight towards yourself, so that you know which areas you're looking to expand upon, so that you can have this new growth, so you can move beyond the lack mentality, so that things don't feel like they are decaying in your life, but instead that they are going through a composting phase where it's just becoming the fertilizer for the ground that you were planting new seeds in. They're here to say, we're 100% waiting for you to, I'm hearing, give us guidance to help you. Give us guidance so that we can help you with the blockages, with the hygiene aspect, so we can get your energy completely soothed, cleared, and refined, so you can do what you're here to do, experience what you're here to experience outside of anything else, anyone else. All right, Cancer moons. Wow. And then I saw 4224. So those are like inverted mirror numbers. Technically, they're just a reversal of each other. So they're palindromic in nature. So it's saying as above, so below, as within, so without. What is one way will be the same in reverse. So if you went through this experience, you will remember it as well. It's interesting. It's almost like if you went through it, the memory exists. Reversing backwards, it's going to be the same. But what's different in it is, right to left versus left to right is about being open to receiving the benefits instead of focusing on the confusion factors. And I got to tell you guys, that is a message for me too. And I don't have my Cancer sun in my chart. All right. So we are moving on to Cancer risings. Cancer risings. This is the soul of Cancer. This is the souls who came here for Cancerian energy, for that elevation, that evolution, for that nurturing. So let's get into your messages. We have the 4 elements: air, fire, water, earth. This is just a quick reference guide to them. I'm going to go ahead and put that up there. There we go. If any of you guys feel like those key words are speaking to you. But the 4 elements make up the physical world as we know it, the representation of directionality, north, east, west, south. Those are the elementals. And that is letting you know that you have this reference to all of them within yourself, even if it doesn't feel like you do. Like, I know in my intro, I talked about how my husband really helps me ground, because I have very little earth energy and he has a lot of earth energy. And there are times where I forget that I have any earth energy, or that I just have access to that energy because I exist in the physical world. But with him not home right now, it's for me to just kind of touch base with him so that he can remind me of some of the things that I tend to lose sight of within myself. And it's that I can be in my body and be safe. I can love my body safely. I can take care of these very grounded things that need to be taken care of in life. And when I do that, I free my energy. If I ignore my intuitions, I get sick. I hurt myself. If I disconnect from living my life with passion, from allowing myself to engage with passion. And I tell you guys what, I've been doing this a lot. As in disconnecting from my passion. That's why I have a hard time coming back here and doing these readings, because I'm so passionate about it. But I've gone through so much that I really disconnected from that fiery energy because I burnt out, because I got sick, because I almost died. And it was really, really, really hard on me. So I was like, well, I can't really engage with this a whole lot because I don't want to put myself back in that place. But we're meant to engage with all of these things in the way that we feel naturally, intuitively, instinctively called to. So these elements here for you, Cancer risings, are to remind you that even though you may be a water rising sign, in most charts, that means that your angles are in all the other energies, and that all constitutes the wholeness within yourself. Yeah, I don't know if you guys can hear the beeping. My coffee pot just turned off, but I'm going to take that as a confirmation. So then we have the Six of Wands. And again, we have the elements up on top. And the Six of Wands is the card of success. It's the card of achievement. And I love how it works like this, because it almost looks like the sun literally rising on the bottom. It literally looks like a rising sun, which is what the rising sign is in your chart. I call the first house the house of the rising sun, because the ascendant, or the rising, is what marks the eastern horizon when the sun, wherever the sun is on the day that you were born, the very eastern horizon, which is where the sun would be rising at that moment of your birth. That is when you took your first breath. That is when your soul fully incarnated into the physical form. And it's really important. That energy is really important. Understanding is really important. The elements are just very strong. And I actually, I almost grabbed a book off my shelf. I can't remember the author, but the name of the book is Bewitching the Elements. I ended up grabbing the book Signs instead. And I think the author is Laura something, pretty sure. But with Bewitching the Elements, I didn't realize that it was tied to your energy, but that's pretty cool. And then we have Sweet Surrender. Let it go, releasing earthly attachments and clear the air. So, okay. Again, I don't know if I have continual watchers, but there is a lot of tie-in with all of this energy. So Cancer, a lot of the energy here, even with you as the rising sign, this is about really owning who you are, all the pieces, all the bits that make you who you are. If you looked at a diamond and it was just a lump, there was nothing cut into it, it would be just as beautiful as when they cut it into, the princess shape or an emerald shape or what have you. Is emerald a shape of a cut of a stone? I don't know. Anyway, they're just as beautiful. It doesn't have to be this specific way. The totality of who you are in the messiest phase of your life is more beautiful than anything that has been presented with a false front. Presented as, oh, look how beautiful this is because of this and this and this. We put these standards on the things and we don't need to. So this is asking you to surrender whatever it is that you need to surrender. Surrender your fears, surrender your pain, surrender the loss, surrender the grief, surrender that feeling that you can't ever, or that you have to do this or you have to do that, and the negation of the self, whatever it is. I'm just giving examples, guys. I'm not saying that you're doing that. If it resonates, awesome. If not, don't take those, and please don't take them to heart. Essentially, what this sweet surrender and the let it go is letting go of the things that really hold you back from really accessing all of yourself. When you recognize yourself as a perpetual success, you are a continual success, because success is what we're all here for. And we define success for ourselves. Some people define it based off of worldly acclaims and achievements, I suppose. Some by transcendence, some through having a family, some through simply getting up and breathing and living every single day. We all define success differently. Let yourself let go of all the things that other people say mean this, and this for you, for your life, for whatever it is. When it says releasing earthly attachments, this is attachments to the ideations and the perceptions of other people. They can have their perspective, but that's not meant for you. What is meant for you is a bringing together, a melding together, a harmonization of all the different pieces that make you you, because you are the muse. You're the muse. And you're here to inspire yourself. You're here to feel fully and to recognize that you are a success in every way, even when it's hard to see. Okay, Cancer risings and any other Cancers or cross watchers or anybody else who has made it this far in the reading, you guys are rock stars. Number 1, number 2, thank you. And number 3, I love you guys. I want to take this time to say thank you. Thank you to your guides. Thank you to my guides. Thank you to the cosmos, to the universe, to the great spirit. Thank you to the positive, loving energies. Thank you to the shadow energy of the collective that is coming forth so that we can more fully heal, so we can more fully understand, and so we can more fully move into a new phase and a new era within humanity and within ourselves and on our soul's journey. Thank you for guiding us, and thank you for allowing us to co-create with all of you. And thank you so much for the collective of Cancer. All right, Cancers, if it resonated and you want to do those YouTubey things, like, comment, whatever, share, subscribe, those thingies. Awesome. Thanks. If not, if you guys are just dropping by, it was great to have you. I really appreciate the energy. And I hope our paths cross again, because I really love this and I love you. I hope you guys have a great day. Bye. Bye.